Dr. Johnny Coleman said, stop telling God how big your problems are and start telling your problems how big God is. Okay. Do we do that? We sit back. So we want to magnify the divine. And when I talk about God, I'm not talking about some gray-haired guy sitting in an easy chair in the sky. I'm talking about the energy of life. I'm talking about the power of life. And so we can use a variety of words. We can use spirit. We can use love. We can use universe. There's a few words right there. First cause. So whatever you're comfortable with, whatever word describes this unbelievable energy that we can't even begin to comprehend. Like we put a word on it, but think about it. The word God, for example, means something different to everybody. And the other thing is that it also is misinterpreted sometimes, right? Depending on our history. And some of us were raised, maybe where we had a challenge in the church. And somebody using the word God might have said or done something that makes us feel bad. Or maybe we haven't been accepted by the church because of our lifestyle or whatever the case may be. So we want to pay attention to that word and realize that it only has the meaning we put on it. So pick a word, any word you like. The word Fred works. I use that sometimes. Okay, Fred. Right? It's just a word. It's just a word. All right, so magnify the divine. How do we do that? This energy that we're living, this life that we're living in, is a reflection of consciousness. That's the only thing it is, right? What we think about, we bring about. The way we focus our attention is actually creating the life that we're living. Do we like the way our life looks at the moment? Maybe yes, maybe no. The bonus is that we can change it. And the way we change it is to begin to look at how we think about things. So I had a very funny experience. A doctor gave me a shot of morphine for pain, and so that's all great. And so he asked me a while later whether or not it had done anything for the pain, and I said, well, not really. But here's what happened. About an hour after he gave it to me, he came to give me some news, to tell me something about the tests he'd been running. Now, I've got noise-canceling headphones on, Netflix on my phone, of course, the mask that the hospital makes you wear. And so I'm trying to talk to him. And of course, I'm talking very loud because I have noise-canceling headphones on. And I can't hear him because I have noise-canceling headphones on. But I've been given a shot of morphine. So I lower my mask so I can hear him better. So he asked me later, how are you feeling? Is the pain any better? I said, not really. But I said, the morphine's working well. I thought by moving my mask down, I could hear you. So the things we do in life and the way we look at life, we can look at, not feeling well one day and go, oh, this is bad, this is terrible, this is awful. Or we can sit back and go, yeah, my body's feeling questionable. However, I am alive and well. I am living in this thing. I'm not it. I live in it. And so I was able to be there, laugh with the doctor, carry on with the nurse, chat up my husband who is willing to sit there for 7 hours with me, and not gripe and complain, but rather just be with the experience. See, we have a choice. We can magnify the divine, which means in every moment we choose to act from a place of love, joy, peace, or we can be nasty and critical and judgmental and frustrated and angry, and we can complain about everything that's going on around us. But think about it for a minute. If our thinking is creating our world, and we're thinking about how bad it is, do you think that has an impact? Maybe? You're for or against it. If we're thinking along the lines that life is so hard and so bad and so difficult, the universe responds with a resounding yes. And by universe, I mean God or Spirit, Allah, first cause, responds to us through us. Everything going on in our lives. And we're not saying that oh, because I got sick a couple of days ago, that I'm to blame for that. That's not what this means. What it means is that I have the power to change my thinking, and therefore I have the power to change my life. I have the power to change my experience. Because what is an experience really? It is the feelings I attribute to an event, right? So we're sitting here today and the house is full. I love a full house. Don't you just love that? All these people in the room, it's fantastic. Woo! Don't you just love it? I love it. I love it. I just see, standing room only, and sorry for you in the back standing. Get some more chairs in next week. Okay, we don't quite have a full house today, but we will. We will. We can choose to look at every situation in our lives, and we can choose to have a good time, or we can choose to have a bad time. When I was in Kenya and got sick, what did I choose? I chose to have a good time. Yes. You could sit back and go, but you were sick. How could that be fun? You're on holiday. It was a blast. I had a great time. What we think about, we bring about. How we choose to magnify the divine is going to make us have a happy, joyous life or a miserable, difficult, frustrating one. Now, just because we're thinking good thoughts doesn't mean crap doesn't happen. Because it does, right? There's wars going on in the world. There's all kinds of stuff happening on our streets. There's people driving like they think they're Mario Andretti. I know, I'm aging myself. There's probably more recent drivers, right? Yeah, he's so young he doesn't recognize the name Mario Andretti. Max Verstappen? Oh, that's the new guy. Okay. Phew. I obviously don't have time to watch racing anymore, but I'll get better. The thing is that we get to choose where we focus our attention, and what we focus on grows. Where are you placing your focus? Are you focusing on life is hard, life is rough, people don't like me, everything's bad, everything's wrong, life is hard? I used to do that all the time. And you know what? You know what's really funny? I got to be right. You ever notice that? That when you're having a really miserable day, it's a really miserable day all the way around. And you meet the most cranky people. It's fascinating. But you know what happens when you turn it around and you go, you know what? I'm just going to bring the love. I'm going to bring the love. I'm just going to look people in the eye, and I'm going to choose to just look people in the eye and go, I love you. I love you. I love you. I love you. I love you behind the camera. I love you. I love you. I love you. Abu, I love you. The energy that we bring to anything is the energy we bring to life itself, and the energy we bring to life is brought back to us multiplied and overflowing. What energy are you putting out? What energy do you want to bring back? Because you have the power. Anybody ever tell you that? You have the power. I have the power. I know, she's the singer. Um, it's one of Karen Drucker's, I got the power in me or something like that. Anyway, it's good. It's good. But there's this energy that we can work with if we choose, right? We can choose to look at life and go, oh, darn, I'm a victim. Well, I had a good friend who used to tell me there are no victims, there's only volunteers. I went, great, I'm volunteering for this, yay. The bonus is I can change it. I can move my energy. I can begin to think in a new way, and I can begin to create a world around me that feels better, one where I'm happier. And I do that by magnifying the divine. And how do I do that? There's a couple of ways. One is come here Sunday morning, 10:30 Eastern Time. That's a good way to magnify the divine, I think. Another way, of course, is to sit in the silence and to do meditation. We sit still and we listen. We take our attention from out here and we place it in here. Because in here, we know who we are. We know who we were created to be. So we can do like Johnny Coleman said, and, God, tell God all our big problems, or we can recognize that we have this power within us that's far greater. And that power is operating always. And I'll share with you a couple of stories of using that power. Excuse me, it's a little warm. Well, I'm a little warm, always. So years ago, I was working in real estate. I did that for a number of years. It's the natural way to ministry. You go from a retail clerk to an advertising person to a real estate. Oh, take a little break in there to go to college and get a degree in journalism and, forget that and go into real estate. Life takes us on these meandering paths, and that's okay. It's quite all right that we go on those paths. But while I was in my real estate career, I went to a Thursday morning meeting, and the boss wasn't there, the one who was running the development that we were all selling. And so I said, so where'd he go? It's like, well, he's in the hospital. He had a heart attack last night. So right after the meeting, zipped up to the hospital and said, hey, there's this thing that I do. Would you like me to do it with you? And he was like, sure. So we did treatment together, which also could be called affirmative prayer. That was a Thursday, and the following Thursday, he phoned me up to say that he had had an angiogram the day before and that his heart was completely healthy. That all of the tests they had done previous in the week that had shown that he had a major heart attack, the stress test, the ECG, all that, showed that he had had a major event. But when they were finally able to do the angiogram, the heart was clear. Not only was it not the heart of a 46-year-old man, he was told he had the heart of a 16-year-old boy. We have the ability to heal. We have the ability to change circumstance. So if we think about it, our body is built by our mind, right? So when we're thinking, well, I mean, imagine it for a moment. Doctors have told us lots of time, watch your stress. Because if you get too stressed, your body gets sick, right? You get heart problems or stroke or whatever. So how are we living? And when we're changing up everything that we're doing, when we start to focus on all that is beautiful, good, and right, we begin to create a new experience for ourselves and for everybody else as well. So we have the ability to do that. Another person that I worked with years ago, my hairdresser, my favorite person on the earth, because, getting your hair right, sorry, Rico, getting your hair right is really important. I know, but I didn't know you two then. This is before you. This is the
3 other kids.
shh. They might not be listening. It's okay. Having kids in the room could be a problem. I like children. No, I love you. The whole idea, though, is that this young man was diagnosed with HIV. His partner died of AIDS, and I did his partner's funeral service. And we were sitting back one day, I was chatting with him, and he said, could you give me a ride? He was at the hospital, so I picked him up and took him home. And when I got him home, I thought, boy, this guy is really, really sick. In fact, he was so sick, I had to almost carry him into his apartment. He couldn't function. And I'm thinking, how do I leave this person here by himself? He can't do anything. He's not healthy. Why'd they send him home? And they sent him home because there was nothing they could do for him. So I said, there's this thing that I do. Would you like me to do it with you? And he was like, sure. I said, what do you want? And he said, actually, I want to live. He said, for my whole life, I've never been afraid of dying. I've been afraid of living. Wow, okay. He said, I'd like to live. He says, I've never felt so much love as what I've felt since I got my diagnosis. His whole family, everybody checking on him every day, calling him every day, people dropping in to see him every day. So we did treatment together. And 2 weeks later, he was up 18 pounds. 4 months later, he was back to work as a hairdresser, standing. And when they tested his blood, they couldn't find the virus. That was 6 months after treatment. thing is that when we make a decision, okay, this is the power of decision. When we make a decision and we're clear about that decision, the universe responds with a resounding yes. And it happens quick, and it happens beautifully and easily and immediately. So I'm standing before you. 2 years ago, I couldn't have done that. I would have done my service seated. I have spinal stenosis. I couldn't stand. I used a walker. Is it more than 2 years? 2.5 years? And when I would go shopping with my child, I used a wheelchair because I could not stand for any length of time. So I did this thing that I do. There's this thing that I do. And I'd been doing it for a long time for my health. It took me a while. And I was flying to Kansas City, and the founder of the Unity movement, which is a similar movement to ours, had prayed herself to wholeness from tuberculosis in the 1800s. And as I was flying to Kansas, I thought, if she could do it, I can do it. And there was no opposing thought. I really accepted if she could heal her body, I could heal mine. And 4 days later, I got up out of my seat in that conference hall, and I was able to walk. I was able to put my walker in the room at the hotel. I was able to dance that night at the banquet, and I haven't used the walker since. Our bodies are built by our mind. Our world is built by our mind. When we look at the chaos in our world today, how do we change that? We change it one person at a time. And the person we work with is ourself. You see, if I can show up as kind and loving and supportive, you just might think you could do it too. That you could love, that you could be happy, that you could be healthy. I had a spiritual epiphany when I was 27, and I know I've talked about this before. But when I had that, I was a heavy smoker. I smoked 4 packages of cigarettes a day.
Wow.
100 cigarettes. They were in packs of 25. Only $2.15 a pack, though. For anybody who smokes these days, they're quite a bit more expensive than that. But I woke up 1 week after having this spiritual awakening where I just knew I had this feeling of the divine simply as love. That was it. It was just love. Just this warm feeling, like a wake up. It's like I walked in darkness, and then somebody flipped a switch, and all of a sudden I could see, and I could see differently. And what I saw was that this divine energy, whatever it is, was love, period. Full stop. It's not anything else. There is no judgment. We have never been judged by God. Never, ever. Can't. It's simply energy. It'd be like saying that electricity isn't working today. How come it's judging me? Right? Oh, we got an electrician in the room. Comedian too. But it's like we've got this idea because we've been taught that we were born in sin, but what if we were born in perfection? What if who we are is enough? What if the way we've been made is perfect already? What if we begin to love ourselves so much that it's easy to love everybody around us? To look at the world instead of as a problem, but as an opportunity. Because if I can show up and be kind and compassionate and respectful and loving of you, then maybe you will feel better about you, and you will do something kind and loving for someone else. It's a ripple. See, it's a virus. See, we could spread this virus, a love virus. Let's send that one out there. Lots of love. Let it go around and see what it creates. We have the opportunity to do that. So when I had that spiritual awakening, when I realized in that moment I woke up and I went, cough, sputter. I think I coughed the first half hour of every day. But when I butted that cigarette out, I butted it out because a part of me went, this is the temple of God and you do not have the right to kill it. There's something for you to do. There's something for you to be. There's something more in the world for you. Step in and step up. I was 27 then. That's 40 years ago. It's a long time ago. But you know what? Every year, in every way, things are getting better and better. And this is by far my best year yet. I've never been happier. Never been happier than I am right now. So happy to be in this space, this beautiful building. It's such a great place. So we magnify the divine by our attention to it. When we start to recognize that it is the energy of love, it is the energy of possibility, it is infinite intelligence operating through us. And when we allow ourselves to be joy-filled, that spreads. You ever go to a party and everybody's having like a really, really good time? They're just grooving and having fun, laughing, singing, talking. And then somebody comes in and goes, oh, you won't believe what just happened. And it's like popping a balloon. It's like all the air just left. And that's not to say we shouldn't talk about what's happening in our lives. Of course we should. But we want to pay attention. Do we live there or do we just visit? See, it's okay to visit our misery. We just don't want to live in it, right? So we magnify the divine through our prayer work. We do it through our meditation practice. We do it through the materials that we read. We do it through the journey that we're walking. So I'll share a love story, which I probably talked about last week, but I'll talk about a little bit more today. And that's my brother who shares love wherever he goes. And so when he was standing on a bridge beside someone who wanted to jump, he said to him, I love you. I love you. 3 little words. Didn't know the kid at all. But he said, I love you. He saved that kid's life. Because eventually that kid got on the right side of that little barrier. And that's, I think, when my brother could take a exhale, knowing the kid isn't going to fall into the traffic below. We all have within us the ability to be heroes. And it's not something we do out there. It's the way we live in here. When we come to terms with who we are and we go, you know what? I was created and I'm here. I'm here in life today, so there must be a reason. And whatever that reason is, can I live it? Can I allow myself to just fully be who I am and be okay with it? You know, like when I pull my mask down so I can hear my doctor. I had one other funny moment when I was very young, walking down the street with some girlfriends, chit-chatting, having a good time. Good-looking guy across the street, turn around, bang, right into a post. Ended up with a goose egg about this big, and my friends rolling on the ground with laughter. It was very funny. We do stuff. We make mistakes. We have good days and bad days, ups and downs here and there, but through it all, we can choose to love. When I went to Kenya and got pneumonia, I could have been miserable. I'd have been miserable all by myself in my room, but I wasn't. And so all these people around me just kept hanging out with me and talking to me and telling me stories and being with me. And then I would phone home, let everybody know, and oh, it's okay. Yes, I'm sick, but I'm good. There's an energy of possibility that lies within us, and we all can tap into it. And are you ready to tap into yours? Are you ready to be that magnificent person that you were created to be? Are you ready to really shine and celebrate who you are? Are you ready to smile and laugh and be? because you have the ability to do that. It is true, yeah. Not someday, but right here, right now. So I invite you to magnify the divine and be what you were created to be. Perfect, whole, and complete, and celebrate you. Thank you.